Hey guys, this is just a quick video about my Brushencap TM5. This is the Austrian model. It was making a really loud grinding noise, so thankfully I was able to stop it. It didn't seem like the gears were busted, but I did end up buying replacements. What was happening is that one of the gears could wobble, and so the teeth were not really meshing. They were just kind of grinding very loosely. So there's the old gears. Like I said, I probably didn't need to buy new ones, but I bought the entire gear set. The upper gears here come with bearings. I actually don't know what size those are, but it does not come with bearings for the axles. And I would not recommend that you buy the axle bearing kit from the Excellent Supply store because it's not very economical. Sorry, I'm a little stuffed up. You can find 6003 2RS bearings very cheaply, and that's what is used here on these sides. The main motor shaft bearing, which is inside the machine, is different. I think it's a 6002. And like I said, I don't know what these are. It's too hard to read the text. It might just be 6000 RS. That's actually what it looks like. So the way that I figured out that these were bad, just kind of move it with your finger. And if you feel any grittiness, that's a pretty good indicator that the bearing is going. Also, you know, if you see rust, that's bad news. This one is pretty rough. So I changed that, but I noticed that the bearings on the left side, or the right side, however you want to look at it, these were bad also. The thing with the bearings on this side is that they were/are glued in. This seems to be this way from the factory. On the corner here, there was a piece broken off, and my guess is that the trunk was broken because the previous owner was hitting it with a hammer to try to get the bearing out, but they couldn't do it. So what I did is I used my propane torch and I lit those bearings up. You are going to destroy the bearings, but you're going to have to do that to remove them. And you're going to hammer on the back side, but you're actually not going to hammer. You need to use a rotary hammer on the back side with the bearings super, super hot and the surrounding area hot. And that's how I was able to get it out. It is going to do a little bit of damage, but that's the only way I could do it. So that's how I got those bearings out, and then I cleaned it out with, you know, a little bit of just kind of a screwdriver. I just, like, if there was any metal that was pushed in, I just kind of, you know, got that metal off. And then hit it with some brake cleaner. So these are pretty much ready to receive new bearings. Also, I used a screwdriver to chisel out any glue that was in there left over. There's kind of like a whitish glue. So I got those bearings out. In order to fix the missing chunk, what I did is I got some steel stick, JB Weld. I put it in here a day or two ago, and then just now I sanded it to be flush. So I think this is mostly for appearances. I don't know if it'll really matter too much. Up here, I did see a hairline crack, so just a minute ago, I was whacking on it, and sure enough, this piece came out. These areas are just very thin, and I think from use and just flexing, they can break, and then especially if you need to get the bearings out. So this I just applied. I'm going to sand this down tomorrow or the day after. And that's how we'll do that. To put the new bearings in, I have some retaining compound. 609 is actually not the most ideal. I think the ideal is like 643 or something. There's different numbers for different strengths. Basically, you only really need the lower strength, because what this is going to allow you to do is, if we need to change these bearings again, this compound is going to release, which should be a lot easier than if you use just some random glue to put those bearings in. It might suck when you have to come back and do it again. And then also for putting these plates back, someone on the internet said to really pack them with grease, that can keep some dirt out. So I've packed these with white lithium grease. When I was installing the bearings, I actually used a little bit on the bearing just to kind of get it in there. Maybe you shouldn't do that. Maybe I should have used this. But this was a pretty tight fit over here. So I don't think a little bit of grease is really the end of the world. The other thing that I didn't realize, which is actually the reason why I bought new gears, is that if you look at the official videos of how to change the bearings, they tell you to take a screwdriver and chisel and destroy the gear, which I think is extremely silly. I did not know this, but the previous owner did not use the snap rings. So technically, I could have actually just hammered that gear out and changed the bearing, but I bought a whole new set thinking that I would have to destroy them. So yeah, that's something to be aware of. Just check if your gears have that retaining ring up in there. If they don't, you might be able to just tap the gear out. I had a piece of wood I was using, and then a nice hefty sludge, and then with the piece of wood. I only like to hammer the gears from the hub. Generally, piece of wood right here, and then a hammer. Don't hammer the edges or you're going to crack the gear. But yeah. So that was a little bit of a regret, like $200 wasted dollars, but at least the new gears came with new bearings because these all needed them as well. I'm curious if maybe we could 3D print these gears. Maybe something I'll look into, but yeah, there's that. So yeah, that's just about it. The only other repairs I've made to this machine, I changed out the power cord one day. It just stopped working on a job, but that fixed that. Yeah, I think that's about it. It's a good machine overall, but yeah. Honestly, when I got this machine, it probably needed new bearings, but I was like, whatever. So I actually ran this machine for like 3 years, probably bad bearings, and it worked for all that time. So I think the machine is quite forgiving, but it is good probably to just check and make sure that these rotate and that your bearings are not crusty. There is a little bit of play with the plastic, like very, very little, less than a millimeter. So yeah, I would say maybe just every 6 months to every year, just kind of feel these gears a little bit and make sure they're not so wobbly, Also keep the gears greased with white lithium grease. You can be pretty generous. Before I put this cover back, I am going to clean all that dirt out of the gears. But yeah, that is just my experience changing the bearings on the TM5. Again, the bearings, look in the manual. You can find a manual online, which has part numbers for everything. And yeah, again, I use 6003 bearings. Would not recommend just buying the axle replacement kit. I would recommend first seeing if you can push these out without destroying everything. And then if you can, just buy the whole gear set for $200 and buy the bearings on your own for the axles. I think that's it. Let me just think if there's anything else I want to say. The little, I forget what it's like a grommet or something, a little plastic piece. That comes out that way, if I'm not mistaken. Actually, this, yeah, through. Because I was trying to hammer the bearing out, and the little black things would just kind of go down in here this way. So that's what helped me realize I need to hammer the plastic things out gently that way, and then the bearing gets hammered out this way. And those you shouldn't really have to destroy. Oh yeah, and also you might be able to get away not installing those little clip rings because the bearing and the gear is a pretty tight fit. There shouldn't really be that much movement anyway. So just to make bearing replacement easy on yourself, maybe don't use the rings. All right, thanks for watching. Have a good day.